the United States of America. The most dreamed of country in the world, yet no one can fully describe it. From northern glaciers to southern tropical rainforests, from the historic eastern shores to the western ocean, this single country encompasses deserts, towering peaks, megacities, rocky coves, endless plains, and natural formations unique to the world. From the world's most visited national parks to hidden canyons no one knows. From the familiar skylines of iconic cities to a cultural mosaic that no map can fully capture. We go deep into America. We are not only looking for places to see, but for moments to feel, sounds to hear, and silences worth standing still for. One country, an infinite world, the United States of America. And our journey begins in one of the most iconic cities in the world. New York City, the rhythm of the world, is on these streets. New York City. Whether you arrive in Manhattan by bridge, by tunnel, or from the air, the grandeur of the skyline meets you first. The city moves at a relentless pace. Taxis, cyclists, pedestrians, street vendors, construction noise, and the rumble of the subway all coalesce into a ceaseless symphony. Right at the center of all that noise, Central Park. This 340-hectare green space sits like an enormous garden in the middle of Manhattan's stone and glass. Early in the morning, walkers and runners circle its paths. At midday, office workers spread out across the grass. In the evenings, musicians settle beneath the bridges. The park is where this city breathes. Walking across the Brooklyn Bridge is a good place to begin understanding New York. Standing at the midpoint and looking out, you can see Manhattan on one side and Brooklyn on the other. Below, the East River flows, carrying boats, tour vessels, and cargo ships. The greater New York metropolitan area extends to the shores of New Jersey. MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford is part of this region. Harlem, in the early 20th century, became the intellectual and artistic heart of African American culture. Jazz took shape on these streets. Chinatown, Little Italy, Koreatown, Dominican neighborhoods, Ukrainian restaurants. In New York, every culture has its own corner. Nowhere else in the world can you find the cuisines, languages, and music of so many countries gathered within a single city. In New York, the lights never fully go out. The neon signs of Times Square burn as bright at midnight as at midday. A few blocks away, jazz drifts from the door of a small bar, and the city feels entirely different. Now we leave the world's most crowded city and travel toward one of its deepest silences. Grand Canyon, carved by time. The Grand Canyon catches you off guard with its grandeur and its scale. In the desert of northern Arizona, the Colorado River has been carving through rock for millions of years, creating this immense canyon. Layer upon layer of rock and granite reveal the story of different eras in our planet's history. Standing at the south rim, the depth and width of the canyon are staggering. Throughout the day, the color of the rock shifts from orange to copper red, from lavender to deep brown. At sunset, it feels like looking at a painting. Many visitors stand at the rim and simply look, but some descend. Bright Angel Trail winds its way into the canyon. As you walk deeper, you feel as though you are traveling through millions of years of geological time. The air grows warmer, the atmosphere drier, and the sound of the Colorado River slowly reaches your ears. The river here is narrow and powerful. For the Navajo and Havasupai peoples, the Grand Canyon is sacred ground. Havasu Falls lies deep within the canyon, difficult to reach, but once you arrive, its turquoise water against the red rock carries you to another world entirely. Zion National Park, beneath the shadow of the red rocks. Cross into Utah from Arizona, and Zion National Park greets you. Here, you do not look down from the canyon rim. You look up from the canyon floor. Massive red sandstone walls rise above you on every side. The Virgin River flows through the heart of the canyon. In the section known as the Narrows, the water moves through narrow rock corridors, brushing against you as you pass. Those looking for something more demanding make the climb to Angel's Landing. The final stretch requires gripping a chain bolted into the rock. And at the top, Zion Valley opens in full. Monument Valley, the Navajo's red stage. On the border of Arizona and Utah, driving along a flat, open road, red giants begin to appear on the horizon, the sandstone buttes of Monument Valley. These formations rise hundreds of meters from the desert floor. Rock formations rising this suddenly and dramatically from a flat desert surface are rare anywhere in the world. The Navajo people call this place Tsebinzisgayi, the valley within the rocks, a name that describes a place more beautifully than any other could. Local guides share the stories of the buttes and the history of the peoples who have called this land home. Many visitors set up camp overnight and watch the color of the buttes change through sunrise and sunset. Antelope Canyon, light hidden in the rock. On Navajo land in Arizona, when you descend through a crack in the desert surface, the world above disappears in an instant. Antelope Canyon was formed over centuries as rainwater slowly shaped the red sandstone. The walls are flowing, smooth and curved. The color shifts continuously between orange, red, violet, and cream. Local guides lead visitors through Antelope Canyon and share the stories that belong to this place. The Wave of Stone. On the Arizona-Utah border, in the northern section of Coyote Buttes, there is a place that makes everyone who sees a photograph of it say, "This cannot be real." The Wave, a rock surface where layers of red, orange, and yellow interweave in undulating forms that seem to be in motion. Access is controlled through a strict permit system. This restriction is necessary to protect the site, because the wave is genuinely fragile. For those who secure a permit, the journey is not easy. Roughly 10 kilometers of flat, unmarked desert terrain must be crossed on foot. And then, finally, the rock surface begins to change. The waves come into focus, the colors deepen. The wave is before you. Las Vegas, a light show in the middle of the desert. In the heart of the Nevada desert, those seeing Las Vegas for the first time struggle to believe it is real. Seen from the air at night, it appears as an island of light in the middle of the dark desert. The strip runs for approximately 6 kilometers and is home to some of the most expensive real estate in the world. The Venetian recreates Venice with canals and gondolas. The Luxor presents a glass pyramid with a beam of light shooting from its peak. A miniature Eiffel Tower reflects Paris. The city has also become a cultural destination with world-renowned restaurants, major music and theater productions, and Cirque du Soleil performances. And by day, in Las Vegas, hikers are out in the desert at Red Rock Canyon. Death Valley, the beauty of extremes. The lowest point in North America, the place where some of the highest air temperatures ever recorded on our planet have been measured. Death Valley. The mesquite flat sand dunes shift from gold to deep orange at dawn. At Badwater Basin, approximately 86 meters below sea level. There's nothing around the cracked salt surface. From Zabriskie Point, the erosion-sculpted hills of yellow and brown resemble the surface of a volcano. Rain does fall here, but rarely. After a brief rainfall, the desert transforms in an instant. Wildflowers emerge from seeds that have lain dormant for weeks. Death Valley suddenly becomes a sea of color. This phenomenon has a name: the superbloom. Those who witness it never forget it. In New Mexico, at White Sands National Park, wind-sculpted dunes of white gypsum turn the desert an entirely different color. Joshua Tree National Park, the trees of the desert. In California, two deserts meet, the Mojave and the Sonoran. And at that meeting point grows a plant found nowhere else on Earth. Yucca brevifolia, or as it is commonly known, the Joshua tree. These trees are neither palms nor cacti. Sometimes they stand like sculptures, sometimes like something out of a surrealist painting. The park's granite boulder formations fascinate geologists and photographers alike. Sitting on the rocks and watching the sunset, then lying back in the darkness and watching the Milky Way. These are among the experiences Joshua Tree offers. Sedona, in the heart of Arizona. A desert town, Sedona is known for the red sandstone formations that surround it. Cathedral Rock, Bell Rock, Airport Mesa. Art galleries, boutiques, and restaurants line the town center. But it is the terrain surrounding Sedona, more than the town itself, that defines this place. Along the canyon trails, the view changes with every step. At sunset, the sky turns orange, and the rock takes on a deep red. Photographers travel from all over the world for those moments when the two colors meet. Mesa Verde, in the southwestern corner of Colorado, a city carved into the rock. Mesa Verde. Cliff Palace at Mesa Verde was built in the 13th century by the ancestral Pueblo people. With more than 150 rooms and 23 ceremonial spaces, it was a city complex that encompassed the governance, social life, and spiritual practice of an entire community. The structures can be visited through guided tours. Mesa Verde is among the best preserved and most remarkable examples of indigenous cultural heritage in the United States. In 1978, it was among the first sites added to the UNESCO World Heritage List. Santa Fe, adobe and color. In northern New Mexico, at an elevation of approximately 2,100 meters, a small city. Santa Fe is among the oldest state capitals in America. The buildings of the city are unified by their earth-toned walls and rounded forms. It resembles no other city. Art galleries, museums, and shops selling traditional Pueblo crafts line the town center. Canyon Road is one of the streets with the highest concentration of art galleries in the world. Santa Fe's cuisine was born from the meeting of Pueblo, Navajo, Spanish, and Anglo cultures. Red and green chili pepper are the symbol of the region. When ordering food, the question red or green is unavoidable. Nearby, at Bandelier National Monument, the homes and ceremonial spaces carved into the rock by the Pueblo people still stand. What we have seen so far was only the beginning. To continue our remarkable journey through America's diverse destinations, subscribe now. San Francisco, the symbol of the Bay. San Francisco has one of the most recognized urban skylines in America. The Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz Island, Fisherman's Wharf, and the bay that surrounds them. Completed in 1937, the Golden Gate Bridge was, and remains, a true feat of engineering. The bridge's distinctive red-orange color is known as International Orange. It was chosen by the designers as a shade that would complement the bay's fog and the green hills of the surrounding landscape. The Mission Dolores neighborhood is the Latin soul of the city. Colorful murals, Mexican restaurants, and local markets add life and color. Chinatown is the largest and most established Chinese neighborhood in America. In continuous existence since 1848, its busy streets and traditional architecture carry the earliest and most concentrated traces of Chinese immigration in the country. Big Sur, where the ocean meets the mountains, between San Francisco and Los Angeles, between the Santa Lucia Mountains and the Pacific, Highway 1. Big Sur is not simply a road, a coastal stretch of steep slopes, bridges, and sharp curves. Bixby Creek Bridge, an elegant structure spanning a canyon above the sea. This bridge is among the most photographed structures in America. Hidden coves line the coast, some accessible only by descending steep trails. A quiet, secluded beach surrounded by rock. And the sound of the Pacific waves. Big Sur has drawn artists, writers, and thinkers for years. Henry Miller, Ansel Adams. Along this stretch of coastline, nature offers not solitude, but depth. Yosemite National Park, beneath the granite walls. In the Sierra Nevada mountains of California, a valley. Yosemite Valley is surrounded by granite walls rising approximately 1 kilometer on either side. El Capitan is the largest of these walls. A single granite monolith rising more than 900 meters. It is one of the tallest vertical rock faces in the world. It is considered a sacred place among climbers. Even the finest spend days on the ascent. Yosemite Falls is among the highest waterfalls in North America. The water falls from approximately 740 meters. In spring, when the snow melts, the flow reaches its peak and the sound of the falls carries to every corner of the valley. In Mariposa Grove, enormous sequoia trees rise from the forest floor. Redwood National Park. The coastal redwood, Sequoia sempervirens, holds the height record among all living trees. A tree named Hyperion, discovered in 2006, measures approximately 115.7 meters. The tallest tree on record in the world. In redwood forests, some trees are so wide at the base that hollows have formed large enough for a person to walk through. The coastal strip alongside the park is also part of the protected area. At Gold Bluffs Beach, golden sand and distant sea-level rocks catch the eye. Herds of elk occasionally come down to this shore. Los Angeles, the city of dreams. Los Angeles is more than a city. Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Venice Beach, Malibu, downtown. These are different worlds within the same city. Los Angeles is a metropolis with no single center, built around the car, spreading and expanding without end. Walking the Hollywood Walk of Fame is a kind of popular culture tradition. The Getty Center rises as a white complex on the hilltops. Its collections spanning European art to ancient Greek works, alongside panoramic gardens overlooking Los Angeles, makes the museum worth a visit in its own right. Venice Beach carries the bohemian spirit of the city. Skate parks, outdoor gyms, street artists, and local markets exist side by side. Early in the morning, surfers wait for waves. By afternoon, the crowd thickens and the beach becomes a carnival. From Griffith Observatory, the city spreads out like a sea of light. The Hollywood sign to the right, the skyscrapers of downtown ahead, the Pacific Ocean on the horizon. From this vantage point, the true scale of Los Angeles becomes clear. Seattle. Seattle's nickname is the Emerald City. It earned this name from the forests that surround it and stay green throughout all 4 seasons. Those same forests are the reason the city receives so much rain. The Space Needle was built for the 1962 World's Fair. At 184 meters, it is the symbol of the city, and the revolving restaurant at its summit is still in operation today. Pike Place is among the oldest continuously operating farmers markets in America. In the early morning hours, the fish stalls fill and the smell of coffee drifts through the market. The original Starbucks store is here too. Amazon and Microsoft are both headquartered in and around Seattle. These technology companies have transformed the city and at the same time strengthened its environmental consciousness. Seattle constantly ranks among the most environmentally friendly cities, known for its cycling infrastructure, recycling rates, and green building standards. Portland, the capital of doing things differently. Portland is divided in two by the Willamette River. Each half carries its own character. Portland's motto, "Keep Portland Weird," captures how the city understands itself. Contemporary art galleries, independent coffee shops, murals covering entire building facades. Something different at every turn. Portland is also among the cities with the highest number of craft breweries per capita in the United States. This culture reflects the city's broader outlook, local and handmade. Oregon Coast, the voice of the wild Pacific. Along Oregon's coast, for approximately 580 kilometers, nature presents its most raw and beautiful face. Haystack Rock at Cannon Beach is a 72-meter basalt monolith rising directly from the ocean. It is the product of volcanic activity around 15 million years ago and has stood in the sea ever since. In summer, puffins nest at its summit and dive into the ocean to feed. When the tide recedes, the small pools that form around the rock teem with life. From Ecola State Park, the coastline appears as a single line where dense green forest meets the gray ocean. Denver, the mile-high city. Denver sits at exactly 1,609 meters above sea level, 1 precise mile above the ocean. Living at this elevation affects everything. Visiting sports teams know that the air is thinner here and the home advantage is real. Denver grew from a gold discovery in 1858. The traces of that era are felt at Union Station. This vast, historic, and grand rail terminal has been transformed into a hub of restaurants, hotels, and meeting spaces. But its original architecture has been preserved. The high ceilings and wide halls carry a sense of the past. The Rocky Mountains begin here. Heading west, the flat terrain suddenly begins to rise. Vail, Breckenridge, Aspen. These ski resorts are close to Denver. This gives those who live here a remarkable advantage. Morning at the office, afternoon on the slopes. Grand Teton National Park, peaks that rise straight up. The Teton Range in Wyoming rises nearly 2,000 meters, almost vertically from the floor of Jackson Hole Valley. Grand Teton, at 4,199 meters, is the highest point in the range. Rafting on the Snake River, hiking around Taggart and Bradley Lakes, or a morning coffee at the edge of Jenny Lake. Even those without climbing experience can fully enjoy the park. In autumn, the golden aspen trees, the gray granite of the mountains, and the snow on the peaks create landscapes worth photographing in every season. Glacier National Park, the last witnesses of the glaciers. Glacier National Park holds approximately 130 lakes, 2 major mountain ranges, and more than 70 mammal species. Grizzly bears, eagles, and mountain goats roam freely across this wild terrain. Going to the Sun Road runs for 80 kilometers through the heart of the park. Sheer cliff faces on one side, deep valleys on the other. At the bottom of Lake McDonald, stones of green, red, and blue catch the light through the clear water, the product of geological processes spanning hundreds of millions of years. Yellowstone National Park, the breath of the world. Established in 1872, Yellowstone was the world's first national park. It sits above a supervolcano, where the Earth's crust is unusually thin and magma lies close to the surface, transferring its heat to the water, the soil, and the rock above it. Grand Prismatic Spring, at approximately 90 meters wide, is the largest hot spring in the United States. Seen from above, the color transitions from blue at the center to red at the outer edges resemble a rainbow. In 1995, gray wolves reintroduced to the region significantly transformed the ecosystem. Deer populations came back into balance, vegetation recovered, and beavers returned. Bison herds are here too, heavy and unhurried as they have been for thousands of years. Denali National Park, the roof of North America. At 6,190 meters, Denali is the highest point in North America. But what makes it truly remarkable is how steeply it rises, more so than even Everest. There's only one road through the park, approximately 145 kilometers long and closed to private vehicles for most of its length. Along this road, grizzly bears, caribou, wolves, and moose can be seen. In summer, the sun barely sets. In winter, the park disappears into darkness, snow, and the northern lights. Denali is a summit, a boundary, the place where human settlement ends and nature operates entirely on its own terms. Hawaii, a different America. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, 4,000 kilometers from the mainland, the most unexpected face of America. In Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, lava flows from active craters and forms new land, one of the few places on our planet where this can be witnessed in real time. Black lava coastlines, green rainforests, and turquoise ocean all exist on the same island. Polynesian culture, hula, luau, and the concept of ohana are part of daily life here. Hawaii belongs to America, but resembles nowhere else on Earth. Join us on our next adventure. Subscribe and keep exploring America's diverse landscapes. Chicago, the architecture of the wind. On the shore of Lake Michigan, the wind never stops. Chicago earns its nickname, the Windy City. The energy, tone, and rhythm of the city match it. Powerful, relentless, sweeping. The first skyscrapers in the world were built here. Louis Sullivan, Daniel Burnham, Frank Lloyd Wright, the pioneers of modern architecture. Chicago is like an open-air museum of architecture. Willis Tower, which for many years held the title of the tallest building in the world, stands at 442 meters. From the glass ledges on the 103rd floor, visitors can look directly down at the city beneath their feet. In Millennium Park, Cloud Gate, the mirrored sculpture known to everyone as the Bean, reflects the character of Chicago. There are always people around it, some taking photographs, some simply passing through. In Kansas City, jazz clubs, Smoky barbecue restaurants, and old neighborhoods that grew up around the rail lines carry the rhythm of Middle America. Detroit, we head to the southwest of Lake Michigan. Detroit, for much of the 20th century, was the automotive capital of the world. Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler were all born here. Their factories employed hundreds of thousands of people and transformed the city. But from the 1970s onward, as production moved elsewhere, this began to change. The Detroit Institute of Arts houses Diego Rivera's monumental industrial murals. works that tell the story of the city's working history. Motown music, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, The Temptations, was born here and changed the world. Washington, D.C., the capital of freedom. Some cities are built on economic power, others on trade. Washington, D.C. was built on an idea. Planned from the ground up in 1790, this city is the physical expression of how a nation chose to present itself to the world. Wide boulevards, a symmetrical layout, and a monument at every turn. The National Mall is the spine of the city. This broad green corridor stretching approximately 3 kilometers from the Lincoln Memorial to the Capitol building. The Washington Monument casts a long shadow in the morning light. Sitting on the marble steps of the Lincoln Memorial and looking out over the city feels like a quiet conversation with the history of the nation. Inside the Lincoln Memorial, standing at the base of the enormous statue and looking up, Lincoln's expression seems to shift. The eyes of the statue are designed to convey different emotions from different angles. The Smithsonian Museums, natural history, air and space, American history, and more. Given the scale of the collections, seeing everything in a single visit is barely possible. It can take days. In spring, the Japanese cherry trees around the tidal basin come into bloom. The week when pink and white blossoms frame the Washington Monument is the most visited period of the year in the city. This beauty comes from trees planted in 1912 as a symbol of friendship between the United States and Japan, a history recalled every spring. Philadelphia, the birthplace of America. This history and this place are unique to Philadelphia. Independence Hall, a modest red brick building in the heart of the city, is where the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776, and where, in 1787, the United States Constitution was drafted. Both documents were born in a single building. This fact alone makes it one of the most historically significant sites in the world. Philadelphia has earned the name of an open-air gallery. More than 4,000 murals cover the walls of buildings across the city. These works are the product of a coordinated art initiative that began in 1984 and continues to this day. This communication beyond color and language has strengthened the identity of the city's neighborhoods. At Reading Terminal Market, you can find handmade cheeses from the Pennsylvania Dutch community, fresh vegetables, seafood, and Amish-prepared foods. This market is one of the places that most naturally reflects the demographic diversity of the city. Boston feels like the capital of education. Harvard University in Cambridge was founded in 1636 and remains among the oldest institutions of higher education in the United States. MIT, located in the same neighborhood, is among the leading science and engineering institutions in the world. The intellectual energy created by these two institutions is felt throughout the city. Fenway Park opened in 1912 and has hosted Red Sox games ever since. It is among the oldest professional baseball stadiums still in active use in the United States. Sitting in the wooden seats of the stands and watching the game feels like touching history while watching a sporting event. Niagara Falls, a wonder shared by two nations, on the border of New York State and the Canadian province of Ontario. The Niagara River. Niagara is among the most recognized waterfalls in the world. The volume of water is immense. Boats approach right to the base of the falls. Passengers wear rain gear. Yet the mist created by the falls is so dense that getting wet becomes part of the experience. At night, the falls are illuminated by colored lights. This illumination runs for much of the year and gives the falls an entirely different character. The colors seem to flow. Atlanta, the rising voice of the South. Atlanta is the city where Martin Luther King Jr. was born. The world of Coca-Cola is the museum of the beverage born in this city. The formula, invented by a pharmacist here in 1886, became a global brand and remains a source of local pride. The Georgia Aquarium is among the largest aquariums in the world. It is home to whale sharks, one of the rare facilities in the world to house this species in an enclosed environment. Charleston, the elegance of the South. Charleston was founded in the 1670s and is among the cities with the best preserved historic architecture in the South. Streets beneath the palm trees and Rainbow Row, a stretch of adjoining pastel-colored houses, are frequently photographed. Charleston's cuisine is the most refined expression of Southern tradition. Shrimp and grits, okra soup, she crab soup. These dishes were born from the meeting of Gullah Geechee culture and the seafood tradition. Memphis, the city of music and history. On the banks of the Mississippi River in western Tennessee, the roots of American music run deep. Memphis can be called the home of the blues and the birthplace of rock and roll. Beale Street fills with live music when night falls. At Sun Studio, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, and Jerry Lee Lewis once sang into the same microphone in the 1950s. Visitors can walk into that room and touch the microphone. New Orleans, the streets where jazz was born, where the Mississippi River bends, a city, New Orleans. Frenchman Street is where local music lovers gather. Live music plays in the bars here every night, mostly jazz, but blues and funk too. The musicians are professionals. The quality of performance is inversely proportional to the size of the venue. In a small bar, you can hear music you would never find in a large concert hall. The beignet is the gastronomic symbol of New Orleans. Light fried dough with a generous dusting of powdered sugar. Mardi Gras is among the most famous carnivals in the world. But New Orleans does not only celebrate during carnival season, it always finds something to celebrate. The Jazz Festival, the Mudbug Festival, the Spoon Festival. Miami. Neon lights and Latin rhythm. In the southeast of Florida, the Caribbean and America exist side by side. Miami has color. Along South Beach, the pastel tones of the Art Deco buildings, pink, mint green, yellow, take on a different vibrancy in the Florida sun. These buildings date from the 1920s and 1930s. Finding such a dense concentration of preserved Art Deco architecture anywhere else is rare. Ocean Drive is where this character is felt most strongly. Ocean on one side, cafe terraces on the other. In the morning, it is quiet. By afternoon, it fills. At night, it transforms. Music spills outside. Little Havana is the Cuban soul of the city. On Calle Ocho, elderly men play dominoes, shops sell hand-rolled cigars, and Cuban music drifts from windows. A community that could not return to Havana, or chose not to, rebuilt it here. Wynwood is an open-air museum covered in works by muralists recognized around the world. Florida Keys. A tropical dream. Florida Keys is the neighbor of the Caribbean. Along the overseas highway, you travel approximately 180 kilometers over water. Ocean on both sides of the road, the deep blue of the Atlantic on one side, the shallow turquoise waters of the Gulf on the other. Key Largo is considered among the top diving destinations in the world. John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park was the first undersea park in the United States. And snorkeling and scuba diving over the coral reefs opens into another world beneath the turquoise water. Puerto Rico. In the Caribbean Sea, Puerto Rico, the cobblestone streets and colorful buildings of the old city. El Morro, the historic fortress of San Juan. This massive structure on the ocean's shore is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. El Yunque is the only tropical rainforest within the United States National Park System. Mosquito Bay, a bioluminescent cove, is illuminated at night by tiny marine organisms. As you paddle through it, you can see the water glowing. This remarkable phenomenon occurs in other parts of the world too. But the intensity in this bay is among the most striking anywhere. Puerto Rico adds the magic of the Caribbean Sea to your American journey. Austin. The city that chose to stay weird, the capital of Texas, tries not to resemble the rest of Texas. The slogan, "Keep Austin Weird," has over time come to summarize the city's identity. More liberal, more artistic, more experimental. 6th Street fills with live music every night. Austin's music is not country. It is a mix of funk, blues, and alternative. The annual XSW Festival transforms the city into a global intersection of music, film, and technology. To the south, in Dallas-Arlington, massive stadiums and endless highways reveal Texas's passion for scale at first glance. Houston. The city of 145 languages. The largest city in Texas. Houston may not carry the same name recognition as New York, Los Angeles, or Chicago, but it is among the largest cities in the United States, one of the capitals of the global energy industry, and home to a population that speaks 145 different languages. This places it among the most linguistically diverse cities in the world. NASA's Johnson Space Center is located here. This is the place where the words "Houston, we have a problem" passed into history. Visitors can see real Apollo capsules and tour astronaut training facilities. Great Smoky Mountains. Great Smoky Mountains is the most visited national park in the United States. More so than Yellowstone and the Grand Canyon. That number may seem surprising. But when you see it for the first time, you understand why so many people come here. From Klingman's Dome, the highest point in the park, on clear days you can see for hundreds of kilometers. Acadia National Park, the first light of the East. Within Acadia National Park, Cadillac Mountain, during a period running roughly from the beginning of October through March, this is the first point on the continental United States to receive the sunrise. For this reason, every year, hundreds of people make their way to the summit before dawn. In the cold and the dark, with a coffee and a blanket, and wait. And then the sun rises. Autumn is also worth describing. From mid-September, the forests of Maine begin to turn red. The contrast between the granite coastline and the red and orange leaves draws photographers to the region. The breadth of a continent. The United States of America is not a single country. It is thousands of different worlds gathered together. What we have seen on this journey was only a beginning. From the silence of the Grand Canyon to the noise of New York, from the geothermal landscape of Yellowstone to the jazz-filled streets of New Orleans, from Redwood National Park to the glowing world of Miami, every place revealed a different face of the United States of America. In this country, canyons began forming millions of years ago, forests took root thousands of years ago, and cities were built over centuries. All of it exists today, at the same time, on the same map. At the edge of a canyon, in the sound of a waterfall, or in the shade of a centuries-old tree, the language of travel is universal. The United States of America, one visit will never be enough. Until the next journey.